Log Horizon is special to me. It helped me through a difficult phase. It has this amazing, fleshed out fantasy world, perfect to immerse yourself in. So, let's do to it what I do to everything I love and force myself to objectively tear it to pieces. I feel cold and detached from everything. However, let's start with strengths. If you were to ask me what's the best thing about Log Horizon, I would have to say the character designs. Now, none of the characters are what I call amazing, but Log Horizon is very good at being an all-round series, to the point where I don't think there are any bad characters, like, whatsoever. If you know me, I put character design basics down to 2 key points: distinctiveness and redeeming qualities. Character depth is like advanced levels for the record, this is just basics. I've never really cared too much for concepts, as I think that everything comes down to execution, but one of the beautiful advantages about going for a more realistic MMO setting as opposed to Sword Art Online, where everyone is just a player, is that you have a class system that means all of the characters are useful in their own way and distinctive from each other. The 3 main characters form their own little RPG party, where each of them have their own role to play, from the intelligent caster, who also works as a strategist, to the high damage assassin, who works with scouting and stealth, to the tank, who can protect everyone like no one else can. Each character serves a purpose, and for that they all feel useful, and perhaps more importantly, they all feel unique from each other. And speaking of unique, you even have a transgender character. Does that count, by the way? I mean, she took a gender-changing potion after the game became real life. I don't know if that counts. I'm gonna say it counts because it's hilarious. Although not as redeemed as the mains, the minor characters are all distinctive and have their own little quirks that make for a lot of funny dialogue, and all in all, they're just fun to be around. Like Serura, who seems innocent until you realize out of all the styles she could have chose, she got the one that you can use for groping people. It's audio. It's just audio. It's okay. Take the video file, look at it. It's a video. Put it in. It's not a fucking video. Okay. Uninstall format converter. Reinstall. Look at title. It says it converts video. Take file. Reconvert to MP4. Wait an hour. Look at it. It's a video. Look at the properties. It's MP4. That's a video. Look at the video, scroll through it, it's all fine. Audios and visual, that's a video. Okay, take file, put it in, it's not a fucking video. Okay, alright. Do some drugs, reconvert the file, look at it, it's a video, put it in, now it's a unicorn. Okay, bad idea. Wait for drugs to pass, rethink life, reinstall converter, reinstall Premiere, reinstall computer, install programs again, convert file, look at it, oh yeah, that's a video, put it in, that's not a fucking video! Okay, relax. We can do this. We just need to calmly think through this and abandon technology. Give up. Become an Amish. Have a wife and 3 kids. Oh, this is lovely. This is boring. Matricide. Come back. Reinstall everything. Take video. Convert video. Look at it. It's a video. Look at the properties. Definitely a video. Okay. Alright. Okay. Here we go. Put it in. All of my fucks! There are no annoying or useless characters in Log Horizon. You think there are some about halfway through the series when a bunch of kids are introduced, but they're only really focused on once they enter training, and they quickly progress to a point where they feel like they're strong and useful characters that seem to have an impact on the plot. Some of them even bring in some really interesting mysteries and twists that work pretty cleverly with the world. Clever is another word that pretty accurately describes Log Horizon. It's a pretty intelligent show, and there's a fair amount of oh snap, I guess you could say. Perhaps not No Game No Life, Death Note, or Code Geass levels of oh snap, but it's there nonetheless. It's altogether a great all-round series, despite never particularly hitting any big, high-impact moments, save for maybe one. Yeah, if people wanted a versus out of me between this and Sword Art Online, that would probably be the big sway factor. A lot of people have theories on Sword Art Online's success, but I think Sachi's story in the 3rd episode was kinda important. Something that impactful that early on was, I think, the main thing that cemented its popularity. I'm not willing to go as far as a versus for those 2 though, not enough to talk about past that, other than the fact that Sword Art Online definitely picked a better name for an MMO. Because you literally can't pick any worse a name for an MMO than Old Person Story. Enough of Sword Art Online though, get the fuck out, I talk about you enough. So, I see a lot of fans of Log Horizon confused by the lack of popularity, and I get that. I loved Log Horizon a lot too, but if you were to ask me why it didn't reach that level, well, Log Horizon is what I call a barrier to entry anime. It's a good anime, but it has a hurdle that you need to get over in order to enjoy it. It's not just that it has a negative element, it's that it has a negative element that was necessary for some of its engagements. Log Horizon's big problem, I think, is in how it handles exposition. But not to contradict myself, I know in the past I've talked about exposition being default, and by that I mean it's neither good nor bad. It's effectively downtime where no engagements are happening. But that's in reference to like 1 or 2 lines to explain something. Most people will get through 1 or 2 lines of dialogue that has no engagement to it easily and retain the knowledge that they've learned. With Log Horizon though, these explanations tend to clock in at about 1 minute to 2 minutes each. And having that long without any kind of engagement, well, that's your textbook definition of boring. And this kind of thing happens all over the series. And sometimes it's fine, like describing how food in the game all seems to taste the same in the first episode is done through character experience and broken up with a lot of jokes. But it isn't as easy to do that with everything, especially when you have abstract and complicated concepts like psyche and anima. But see, the clincher is that all of these exposition dumps, they're absolutely necessary. A lot of the stuff set up in these scenes are later used for the clever little oh snap moments in the series and other general stuff happening in the plot. It's hard to say it's a flaw when it's necessary and intended, but ultimately there's time being spent where your audience has to sit through a lecture, and whether it's worth it or not for what comes after is beside the point. The moment in history that the audience were bored has already happened. This is one of the disadvantages of running a big-ass world like this. A lot of information isn't inherently assumed, and the amount of times the story has to stop and explain a mechanic, ability, a town, or a system really adds up. But here's an interesting question that comes up with this that you might also be thinking as a counter-argument. What's the difference between exposition and world building? I mean, when you think about it, the vague-ass definitions that we have are kind of the same. In both cases, you're explaining something that's neither plot nor character. So why do we look at exposition as a bad thing and world building as a good thing? Well, ultimately I think they're both the same. It's just that world building is only a good thing with investment. I mean, if I picked up a book and told you that it had a fleshed out world, would you care? I'd wager probably not. I mean, if it was just like a lot of towns with minor differences that all have their own names, couple of mountains and shit, like whatever, you know, none of that really matters unless you're invested in the world first. I think people only really call it world building when they get to find out details inside a story that they already love. While watching Log Horizon, if you didn't notice the exposition, then it's probably because you were already invested in the world. For a lot of other people though, I think they just wanted to see more of the story and characters first. That said, I think there is such a thing as inherently interesting world building, but that's because it tends to have some story/writing techniques involved, not because the world building is inherently engaging. Most of the world stuff in Game of Thrones, for instance, I just didn't care about at first. I think at first I was mostly watching for the witty dialogue and characters, but in that period of time where I wasn't invested yet, I found some elements of world building engaging in itself. Places like the Eyrie with its open-air prisons, which sure, you can get out from, but yeah, don't do that. And also the Moon Door, which is the same concept, it's just how they execute people. Those are cool, interesting forms of world building. The Dothraki having no word for thank you is also another form of this. After a while, I did start to care about places like King's Landing and Castle Rock, but that was only after I got on board the hype train. Likewise, simple mechanics of a game and cities and shit that are basically just like any other mechanic or city, this just becomes exposition and only world building if you're actually really invested in Log Horizon. But considering you get this stuff fairly early on in the series, most people will see it as exposition. Of course, things like the people of the land now being real people is probably a good example of some inherently interesting world building within Log Horizon. And now I don't know how to end this video, so I'm just going to throw in an unused joke.